Hello everyone, and welcome to MAT0018 online for the first half of summer 2021. I am Robert Schaller. I will be your instructor for this course. Although this is an online course, so you won't really see much of me. The online section that you're registered for is a 6-week course. Keep that in mind. This math course is going to move very, very quickly. Some students have sort of the wrong impression when they sign up for an online math course. They think it might be watered down or easier. In fact, it is completely the opposite. It's typically more difficult to take an online math course because more of the weight is on your shoulders. You're not going to a classroom regularly. So you have to be very disciplined, very motivated, very dedicated. Also, this is a 6-week course that you're registered for. You do the exact same amount of work that a 16-week fall or spring semester would do, but you just have to do all of that a lot faster. Nothing is cut out. Like I said, the course is not easier because it's a summer course. So keep that in mind. I always like to start off the orientation video by very clearly putting that out there. If you're taking an online math course in order to try and, save time or not have to study as hard, you're in the wrong spot. You really need to take a face-to-face course, or you really need to go take it in the fall or the spring when you have more time to handle the material. So I just want to put that out there. Now, for some people, online's their only possible option right now. They work 2 jobs, they have kids. I totally get that. I support the online learning. But just know that you're getting yourself into a really rough 6 weeks here. You're going to be running a marathon every week to try and get all the sections done and get all the exams done on time. So I just want to put that out there and say if you're a little bit iffy about taking an online course or a really fast-paced summer course, or of course this is both combined, now's your chance to say, you know what, I think I'll just pause on this and come back to it in the fall when I have more time to digest the material. If you're in it to win it and you're sticking around, then this video is going to explain everything you need to do in order to be successful in the course. So let's get into it. Right off the bat, you're watching this video, which is great. This will explain everything, and you can always come back to this video and rewatch it if you have some questions, or you can just email me if you ever have questions. In Canvas, there's an inbox that you can click on and send me an email. Or if you want, you can send me an email using the official SCF email, which is my schaller1@scf.edu. So this email is my official SCF email, but when you do email that, please use your official student email. Don't send me an email from your Gmail account or from your Yahoo account or whatever. Technically, I'm not allowed to respond to those emails. Unless it comes from your student email, you probably won't get a response from me. Or if you email me in Canvas, of course, I'll respond to the one in Canvas because obviously it's linked to you as the student in that course. So there's me. There's my office on the Bradenton campus in the math building. I will not be on campus very much in the first half of summer because I only have online classes the first half of summer. But of course, if you email me, we can always set up an appointment. We can meet on campus if need be. If not, we can do virtual office hours. On Canvas, I have set up a link for my virtual office hours. And you can click on that link and it will open up Teams. And then in Teams, we can have our webcams on, or at least probably me. I'll have my webcam on, and I have a whiteboard in my office at home. Also, again, if you're working, several jobs, you have kids, you have other responsibilities, if you send me an email and say, hey, I get off of work at 6 o'clock, is there any way you can just answer a couple questions for me before I decide to take the test this evening or tomorrow morning? For the summer, most likely I'm going to be pretty available. If you ask me to log on to Teams at 2:30 in the morning, that's a little unreasonable. But, if it's morning, afternoon, evening, I can always move things around and be able to log on to Teams and help you guys out if you have some questions. So this syllabus that I have pulled up is always available. I am not going to go through every single word on the syllabus. I'm not going to read everything. but I do recommend you read through the syllabus so you know everything that you're responsible for in the course. I'm going to break down the key things that you need to know going into this course. So as far as the syllabus is concerned, I'm just going to highlight the things that are important, super important. So this course basically assumes no previous knowledge of mathematics. I know everyone inherently has, a little bit of knowledge of mathematics just kind of in their day-to-day life. 7 is greater than 3. Things like that are kind of, they come naturally. We know when there's more of something or when there's less of something. But this course really does assume almost absolutely no previous knowledge of mathematics. You're basically starting at the ground level, and you're going to build a foundation and work your way up. There is a required lab component. I have built the lab component right into the course, so you don't have to do anything separate with the lab part. This is a 4-credit class, not a 3-credit class. The 4th credit is technically the lab part. That's where you'll be doing just the work in my math lab. So it's not a separate course you have to go to. Everything is going to be baked into this one course that you see here on Canvas. The textbook that we use, you don't have to buy the physical textbook. You have to buy the My Math Lab because that's where all the work is being done, the tests, the online homework, and it comes with an electronic version of the textbook, and I'll show you how to access that. You should have a nice calculator. By nice, I mean addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, maybe a square root. So when they say scientific calculator, that means it doesn't have to be one of those really fancy graphing calculators. If you're spending $100 or more, that's too much. It's probably overkill. Unless you know you're going to be taking a course later like statistics or college algebra, where they do have you graph some functions. Especially for stats, you're going to want the capabilities in the TI-83 or the TI-84, which are the most common. But for right now, for this course to get the job done, just a basic calculator. No, you cannot use your phone as a calculator. I know it has a calculator on it, but you're not allowed to use your phone during exams. So dedicate, you can just go to Walmart and pick up a calculator for $4. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. As long as it turns on and it can add and subtract, multiply and divide, that's good enough. There are 2 parts to the final exam, and one of them does not allow the use of a calculator. We want to gauge your basic knowledge using pencil and paper and doing the mathematics the old-fashioned way. And then the other half of the final exam does allow you to use a calculator. So keep that in mind. There's 2 versions, well, not 2 versions, but 2 halves to the final exam. One half, you are not allowed to use a calculator. The other half, you are allowed to use a calculator. And they're split up. The tests that I have set up, there are 5 exams in the course. Those are like your chapter tests. And then there's a comprehensive cumulative final exam. Cumulative meaning that it covers everything in the course. So the final exam doesn't just cover like the last chapter. It goes back over everything from the course. And like I said, the final exam is 2 parts. There's 100 points for the non-calculator portion and 100 points for the calculator portion, totaling 200. Each exam is 100. So that's 500. And then you have 300 points for your homework. I wanted to make the homework a good chunk of the grade because some people, especially in a fast-paced online course like this, they can do the homework because they get unlimited number of attempts on the homework. They can keep retrying homework problems until they get them right. But then they go to take the exam and they struggle on the exam. The way I have it designed is that if you're doing all of the homework and you're getting hundreds, if not really close to hundreds on the homework, by taking full advantage of the fact that you can redo problems until you get them right, hopefully that big chunk of your grade should be close to, or if not 100%, and it helps your grade out, even if your test grades are not the best. One thing to keep in mind is that on the final exam, you have to get a grade of 70% or higher in order to get a passing grade. A passing grade for college is A, B, or C. So if you have a 59 at the end of the course, please don't email me arguing for a D. It doesn't help you because it's still not passing. And yes, a couple of students have done that in the past, and I had to reiterate to them that even if I round up, you still don't pass. The 70% or higher on the final exam, it may seem a little rough, but what we're doing is we're trying to make sure that you have a solid foundation. There's no gaps, there's no cracks, because this course, again, assumes no previous knowledge of math. So we are laying out the foundation of a home, and then we want to build on top of that foundation and have a sturdy home. So that's why we have that 70% or higher. We don't want students slowly chipping away at each test, cramming, and barely passing each test, and then doing poorly on the final exam, because that shows that you're not understanding the mathematical language that we're asking you to understand. It shows that you're just scraping by just to get a grade. Learning mathematics is not about getting a letter grade. Learning mathematics is about understanding the language that we are speaking. If you learn the language, the grade will come. You will get an A if you understand the language. If you are trying to get through this course just to get an A, you're avoiding the mathematical language and you're not learning the mathematics, which means you're not going to get an A. So again, try to attack these college-level math courses, especially as you go up the ladder into higher-level math courses. Attack them as you would as if you're learning a second language or a third language or a fourth language. Who knows how many languages you may know already. Attack it as if you're trying to understand new vocabulary, new definitions, and how to structure those to create logical mathematical sentences. If you're treating it like a language and trying to learn as much as possible, the grade will naturally come. You will get a good grade in the end because you can easily show that you understand the language and what to do. So again, think of it in terms of concepts, not in terms of points. Although how we grade you is based on points, because again, it's a math course and we love our numbers. For the late work, I already have the late work built into the MyMathLab. So there will be a late penalty if you start doing assignments after the due date. You don't have to beg me to reopen assignments or anything like that. They'll be open. Once the due date hits, it just has this extra tax on it of it'll deduct some points from your final grade. And I believe I have it set so it deducts 20% of the score. So where you could have gotten 100 on that homework section, if you start that homework section after the due date and then complete it after it's due, the highest you can get is an 80%, which still is not bad, but it does allow for some wiggle room in case, you know, you forget an assignment or something like that. It's not going to totally kill your grade by giving you a 0. There is one required initial assignment. This one's highlighted in yellow because it really is important, and it's basically like a glorified attendance. So yes, please, on the Canvas course page, there's an orientation quiz. When you're done watching this video and you thumb through the syllabus, please take that orientation quiz. It's super quick. It's one question. I mean, you can get it wrong if you want to, but basically it just says, hey, I've understood my responsibility and I agree to stay in the course. And you click yes and you submit the quiz, and that's like a glorified attendance. It shows me that there is another human being on the other side that is willing to stay in this course. If you don't take this quiz by May 16th at midnight, then that will tell me that you are no-show for the course. And the college policy says if you don't do the initial assignment in the first week, you give up your right to stay in the course and I have to remove you. So don't risk that. Please go in there and just take that practice quiz. It's short and sweet, one question, and then it proves to me that you are an active student in the course and I can't no-show you. So again, orientation quiz, super important. Other than that, there's not really anything else you're going to do on this Canvas page. Everything else gets done in the MyMathLab. So again, make sure you do that initial assignment. That way I do not have to no-show you. Since this is an online course, we really don't have to take attendance or anything like that. But again, typically what I ask students to do is just make sure you're keeping up with the work. If I see you stop doing any homework for like a week and a half, 2 weeks, I mean 2 weeks out of a 6-week course, you've missed a third of the entire course. That's a lot. And pretty much that's going to be near impossible to get caught back up with. You know, if I see you not doing any work, I might just first send you a gentle email reminder that says, hey, you need to be doing work on a regular basis, i.e. at least something once a week. Otherwise, I'm going to remove you because you're not doing the required work. So make sure you're at least doing the homework and taking the exams so I can say, yes, you're attending the course, because we do still technically have an attendance policy. It's just based on you continuing to complete assignments. There's some tech help. MyMathLab can be a little finicky if you've used it before, or if you haven't used it before. Sometimes they go down to update their software or reset their servers. So, keep that in mind. If something's due at midnight, don't open it at 11:50 p.m. because the website might be down for maintenance for 20 minutes. And again, it's not my fault you waited till the very last minute to do an assignment. So keep that in mind. Try and get it done on a regular basis. Don't wait till the last minute to do any assignments. If it ever goes down for an extended period of time, then I start moving due dates because, obviously if you can't have access, then you can't do the work. So if it goes down for like an entire day, then yeah, obviously I'll move that due date an entire day to, stay in line. Technology requirements, you do have to have some sort of device that is reliable, and you have to have reliable internet service. So if you, email me or call me and say, hey, my internet's been down for 15 minutes and I was trying to take a test. Okay, obviously if it happens once, that might just be a fluke thing. I can reset the exam so it, starts fresh again. But if it's a regular basis of, hey, my internet's going to be down all weekend, that's when I have to say, that's not my problem, that's your problem. You need to go find a library or somewhere you can get internet access and finish your work. So again, because you're registering for an online class, you're agreeing to, take responsibility for having internet access and being able to access the course material. HonorLock, I have a separate video for HonorLock that you can watch, and that video will go through the process of what we need to use for Test 5 and also for the final exam. So that HonorLock stuff that you have to worry about, I have a video and I'll put it in here. I just haven't done it yet. I'm kind of filling this out. Basically what we need to do for Test 5 and the final exam is use that proctoring service called HonorLock, and that has to use Google Chrome because it's the only thing that has the HonorLock extension, which is a free download. You download Google Chrome, you click on the HonorLock tab in Canvas, it automatically downloads the extension, and then you can access those last exams. So that's going to come in later towards the end of the course. For the first 4 exams, we're not using HonorLock. They're just there in MyMathLab. You just click on them and you go. You take them. You don't have to worry about the HonorLock stuff. But do know that for the final exam and for exam 5, you have to use HonorLock, which basically records your webcam, does a screen capture, and basically is a way that we can proctor you while you're taking the test, just to make sure you're not cheating or anything like that. So the college says we have to use it. There's no way around it. You can't say, oh, well, I'm not using HonorLock because my rights say I don't have to. Well, tough. By signing up for this course, you are submitting and saying, yes, I will use HonorLock. I've used it a few times now for a couple semesters, ever since, quarantine hit. And it's not that big of a deal. You'll notice once you go through and play with it in the practice test that I have for you, you can use the practice test to get used to HonorLock. You'll see, once you're in and you have access to the exam, you just basically ignore your webcam. Just take the test, right? Just take the test, and then when you're done, submit it. It's really not a huge deal. We do have a COVID-19 policy on our syllabus now. If you do have to quarantine or if you test positive, please use the self-reporting tool. There's a link right here. Use that self-reporting tool. It's nice to know that we have students that are testing positive and we can look at the numbers. And if you test positive, then I can switch around some of the due dates. If you're testing positive and you're in the hospital, or you're just mentally not capable of taking any exams or finishing any homework, then I can play around with the due dates for you. But if you just say, hey, I got called into work, so I can't take the test today, I'll take it tomorrow, my response to you is going to be, not my problem. College is for adults. You have work responsibility. You also have college responsibility. You're admitting that you're going to be responsible for both. especially since it's a 16, since it's a 6-week course. Be careful. I have some people that sign up for a 6-week course and then decide, I'm still going to go on vacation for 2 weeks. Well, no, you're not. Sorry, you don't get to play around with my course like that. There are due dates, and you have to respect the due dates. If you go to a movie theater and the movie starts at 2, you don't get to tell the movie theater, hey, restart the movie at 2:15 because I showed up late. That's not how it works. So be careful about that. This is a very fast course. The only thing I can do to play around with due dates is if you do self-report and you have shown that you've tested positive and you're not capable of doing any of the assignments. If you stop doing assignments, that's when the withdrawal happens. Like I said, if you don't do anything for 2 weeks, basically I'm just going to say you gave up, and I'll talk to the department chair, and the department chair will say, yes, take them out of the course. So don't do that. Make sure you're doing your work. Rest of this stuff, misconduct, I don't think we'll have an issue with because you're all going to be at home. Plagiarism is cheating. Usually when you write an English paper or something like that, they say, oh, you plagiarized because you copied off of Wikipedia. Plagiarism is stealing someone else's work and claiming that it is your own work. In the math world, people call that cheating. It is literally plagiarism. You're looking over on someone else's desktop or on someone else's math exam, and you're taking what they did and saying, ooh, I'll do the same answer. You have just plagiarized. You stole and you lied about it. So don't do it. And this is why we use the honor lock for the final exam. Boy, you do not want to throw away 6 weeks just because you got busted cheating on the final exam. It's not worth it. Like I said, math is a language. Just learn the language and the grade will come. If you try to avoid it, it's not going to work out well for you. The DRC, Disability Resource Center, they are great if you need any sort of accommodations. Like if you want extended testing time, or if you say I've had a student that broke their hand, and the DRC was able to hook them up with a scribe who could write for them. The student would, talk to the scribe, and the scribe would write down and say, is this what you want to write down? So many things that they can help with. If you just have, general math anxiety, you might want to talk to them and say, hey, look, I'm always nervous during math tests. Every time I take a math test, I just totally blank out. Is there anything I can do? Sometimes just having a little bit of extra time on exams is more than enough. Sometimes just doing it in a quiet testing room on campus somewhere is more than enough, but it has to go through them. You can't email me and say, I want 7 hours for the final exam. I can't do that unless I do that for everybody, and I can't. The final exam is fixed to a certain time. Non-discrimination and religious observances, kind of lump these together. We shouldn't have any issues with this. I've never had issues with this in the past. The only thing I ask is that if you do reserve or observe a religious holiday, just let me know in advance. Shoot me an email. If I have an assignment due on Wednesday, but you observe a religious holiday on that Wednesday, I can always give you an extra day to do the exam or the homework, whatever it is that's due on that day. That's not a big issue. The other thing is the very last page on the syllabus is the pacing schedule. It tells us when we're going to do what assignments. So the way I have it set up is all these assignments that you see, which you'll see on MathLab, there's a due date there. These are all the topics that are covered. These are just homework problems out of the book. I do not collect these. You do not have to do these. These are all baked into the MathLab homework grade. But this gives you an idea for how much we cover in 1 week. And there are 5 exams and then a final exam at the end. So that's 6 total. And this is a 6-week course. So you're pretty much doing an exam every week. And it really starts to ramp up towards the end when you have to take that last exam and then also be prepared to take the final exam, which covers everything throughout the course. So that is a lot to cram into 6 weeks. You'll see that the first couple of exams, you're not allowed to use a calculator because it's asking the basics as far as addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, order of operations. We want to know that you can do that comfortably and satisfactory, using just pencil and paper. You don't have to rely on pressing buttons in order to add 2 plus 2. We want to make sure that you get the mathematical concept 2 plus 2. So for the first couple exams are no calculator, But then exam 4, exam 5, you are allowed to use a calculator for. And like I said, the final exam is split. You'll see a non-calculator part and a calculator part. So this last page is pretty much the pace that you're going to go through the course. The last day to finish that final exam will be on June 23rd, which is a Wednesday. So keep that in mind. Obviously, I'll open it up a little before then. You might be able to take it like that weekend, like starting on Sunday, or you can take it Monday or Tuesday. But as long as it's done by Wednesday at midnight, then you will be good. So all that is the syllabus. Please let me know if you have any questions, especially about something critical like grades, or how many exams are there, what type of calculator is okay. So email me if you have any questions there. I put a student registration handout for getting registered for my math lab, but I'm actually going to walk you through the math lab link that you'll click on the left-hand side. You'll see a button that says, get started or get registered for the course. Follow those directions that tell you how to go through and register for the course in the handout. When you do get to registering for the course, it'll ask you for your payment method. Are you going to provide a credit card right then and there on the website and buy it? Or did you, go to the bookstore on campus and buy it? If you go to the bookstore, you can use your financial aid. You can't use the financial aid on the website. But there's also a 2-week free trial that you can do. So if you're waiting for your financial aid to kick in, or if you are waiting for a paycheck to come on Friday, you can still register for the course and get started. Because if you scroll down far enough, there's usually like a little blue text that says, I would like to sign up for a 2-week free trial. And then after that 2-week free trial, it'll give you a little pop-up that says, hey, you haven't paid. Make sure you pay for it. But please don't register for this course and think, oh, I'll just not do anything for the first 2 weeks because I won't get my math lab until I get my paycheck. Not acceptable. There's a free trial, so that's not an excuse. Start with the free trial and then pay for it when you are able to. Plus, getting 2 weeks behind in a 6-week course, again, is a very deep hole to dig out of. So when you do click on the Math Lab, what you'll see is on the left-hand side, you have assignments. Sometimes when you click on assignments, this first tab might just be set to homework. Make sure you click that onto all assignments so that you can also see the tests. So you want to be able to see the exams as well. If it's only on homework, you won't see the exams, you'll just see the homeworks. Now, as you go through, you'll see all the due dates that sort of line up with that last page on the syllabus. And then you'll see the exams will be due that line up with all the sections that are on that exam. I know this very first and second chapter are both on exam 1. And a little bit of chapter 3 as well. It might seem like, wow, that is a lot all to cram into one exam. Again, this is the very basic stuff. It talks about, what is an integer, what is a fraction, how do you add integers, how do you subtract integers. A lot of this stuff you might find surprisingly straightforward and be able to sort of blow through those couple sections. Typically, after you get past the no calculator part, and I think it's right around chapter 5 and chapter 6, when students get into dealing with fractions and decimals, that's where things start to slow down for them. It gets a little thick. And then after that, towards the end, once you're allowed to use the calculator, it gets a little bit, I don't want to say easier, but the computation is a little less tedious because you're allowed the calculator. So you can see all the due dates that are lining up. Again, it does go very, very quickly, only 6 weeks. When you look at the homeworks, if I click on a homework section, you can see where it shows you that deduction after the due date. So if I do any work after the 19th, it'll start reducing my points. Whatever I do before that due date, it'll keep the full score for. So if I do half of this homework assignment, those half of those questions in this homework assignment, they'll be scored to the full total 100% amount. But then I start working after the due date for the rest of them, those get that 20% deduction. Now, as you go through and you click on the questions, you can see that, again, right off the bat, we're starting off in one of the earlier sections. It's just giving us some addition. So some of the first sections just talk about adding numbers, subtracting numbers, and at this point there's not even any decimals or fractions to worry about because they haven't introduced those. Your homework, the way it's set up is for 1.3, that is chapter 1, section 3, and this looks exactly like question number 9 in the textbook. What I mean by that is on the left-hand side here, you can see there's an e-text. By purchasing the Math Lab, you have access to the entire textbook. And if you go to, oh, here's another thing. Make sure your pop-up blocker is turned off because my Math Lab always likes opening things in another tab. And sometimes it'll give you an error. Just reopen it and then it seems to work just fine. So if I'm in my homework and I'm doing my homework in section 1.3, I think I was on question 5. Not that it's ultimately that important, but I'm in 1.3. This question looks very, very similar to question number 9 in the e-text. So if I go to the e-text and I go to section 1.3. Oh, here it is, over on the left. Sorry, not, yeah, 1.3, exercise set. On the syllabus, when it says, hey, here are your suggested problems, you can see that in the textbook, if I look at number 9, it's not exactly the same, but it's the same concept. So that's what the My Math Lab is doing, is it's telling you that if you're on a specific question in the homework, it's coming from that exercise set. Like this is question 27 out of 30 in 1.3 for Math Lab, but they're saying it looks like question 65 in the textbook. So again, if I go to the textbook and I can scroll through the pages left or right, or I can type in the page I want up top, or I can use the menu on the left. If I manage to get to question number 65, you'll see that it's very similar to the same thing that they're asking on the My Math Lab. So that's one way you can sort of link the two together. Where am I in the textbook versus where am I in the Math Lab? The other nice thing about the Math Lab is you have access to the textbook over here with the question help. You can get to that part of the textbook real quick. But honestly, lots of students don't really rely on the textbook as the first best tool. They like the help me solve this and the view an example. And when you pay lots of money for this Math Lab, that's what you're paying for. You're paying for all the bells and whistles. And of course, you're getting the textbook, so technically you're buying the textbook. But the help me solve this, you'll notice that it actually already marked me wrong for this question because it's solving my question for me. And there's some parts, and it'll guide you through the parts. Sometimes it'll have you input answers along the way to make it more of a step-by-step breakdown. But if you look at the question, what is 570 increased by 59? It's doing that problem for me. So now it's going to change the numbers. If I close that out after I say, oh, help me solve this, the software will now say, okay, try something else because I did your problem for you. You're not going to get points for that because the software did it. It'll give you a different problem with different numbers and say, apply what we just talked about to this question with the new numbers now. If you're halfway through solving a question and you don't want it to change your question, then you can do the view an example because it's a different example. You'll notice that the numbers are different than what I had already for my question. So I get to keep my question if I go through this and it guides me through and I say, oh, okay, I know what I did wrong. Now I can finish the question. It lets me keep my numbers. Even after I close that, I got the same numbers. So that could be helpful one way or the other. Students really like those. Between those two things, they can generally get the question solved. If not, you can go to the textbook. But one thing that you're going to want to do is, well, I haven't even learned any of this stuff. Why am I trying questions if I haven't learned this yet? There's got to be like a video or a lecture that I can watch. And the answer is, well, there is. What you can do is go to the multimedia library, which I'm actually going to move this tab up further because it's a little far down. Let's make that one, make that one number 3. We'll switch it with the study plan. Oops. Oh, I know what I can do. There we go. We'll put it under assignments. There, looks a little better. So the multimedia library, what you're going to want to do is say, all right, 1.3, I want to learn the material, I want to learn the concepts. You can look up the section video lectures. These are actually like classroom lectures, but they're not done by myself, they're done by the author. And you can see that the first link that you always get is the full lecture that has all the objectives A, B, C, and D all combined. Each one of these is just a breakdown, separated chunks of this first link, which is the whole lecture. So if you don't want to sit here for 17 minutes and 47 seconds, you just want to do the stuff from objective A, which is how to add whole numbers. You don't care about subtracting yet. You want to do it in a small chunk, you just do the small chunk. Or if you want to watch it all at once, just click the first link. It gives you the full lecture for all of section 1.3. This is Elaine Martin Gay. She is the author of the textbook. Some people love the videos, some people not so much. I guess it just kind of depends how you feel. But she does a great job of explaining the concepts. You can see it's like having a teacher in front of a whiteboard. Problem is, again, since it's online, you can't raise your hand and say, hey, can you show me that in a different way? Or can you do another example? Because I didn't get that. Best you can do is rewind and just have her repeat it. So the videos are nice, and I do recommend you sit down with a notebook and watch the video. Take notes as she's solving problems. You should be solving problems with her. Just like you would in a normal math class, you'd sit there and you'd take notes with the instructor going over problems. Then you can go back to your notes and reference, oh, this is how they solved this type of problem. So I'm getting the process. Now I'll take that process and go apply it once I'm done watching this video to my assignments. Now I can go into 1.3 after I'm comfortable watching the video, and I've got my notes next to me, and I can start doing problems from 1.3. And if I get stuck and I need a push, then I can click on the help me solve this or the show me an example, and that should give me that extra little push that I need to get the problem solved. And I'm just clicked on a random question here. I know this isn't going to be 0, but I'm going to hit 0. And I'm going to be really stubborn, and I'm going to keep getting it wrong. I'm going to check my answer. You'll notice that on the third attempt, it says, hey, this is your final check. Even if you click final check, you can go to the skill builder and say, hey, you need to study this concept because it's not working out for you. Or you'll notice that when I'm done and I have this X here and it's not giving me any points for this question, it still says similar question. So even though I got it wrong, I can now go back and redo the same question. And I can do that over and over again until I get it right. I believe the way I have it set up right now is there's like 10 attempts for every question. Yeah, 10 attempts per question. If you're ever trying to do the same question like more than 5 attempts, you need to just stop, put the pencil down, take a break, and maybe even shoot me an email. Because after the first attempt getting it wrong, okay, that's just a mistake. Mistakes happen, they can be fixed. After 2 or 3 attempts and you're still getting it wrong, then that means you don't know the concept as well as you should. You might want to go back to the video and maybe also use the help me solve this or work an example. If you've done it for like 5 or 6 attempts and you're still getting it wrong, that point I would say you're starting to waste time. Now you're just kind of like, beating your head against the desk, doing the same thing over and over again, and it's not working. At that point, you should stop and say, look, I've attempted this 5 times. There's obviously a disconnect in the concept here. I need to hit the reset button. I need to go back, watch the video. I need to email the professor. I need to see if there's another example. Maybe he can explain it differently. Maybe I should go to the Academic Resource Center, see if I can get some tutoring. Right? There's all different things that you should be trying rather than just beating your head against the desk, trying the same thing over and over again and not getting a different result. There's a grade book here that you can keep track of, but I also do all the grades in Canvas as well. And again, for the assignments, just make sure you're keeping up with the due dates so you're getting full points. and make sure you put it to all assignments so you can see those tests. And yes, everything is open. The way I have it all set up is it's all open, except for the final exam. I wait to open the final exam until the end of the course. But everything else is open. You can start working ahead, and hopefully, the more sections you do in the beginning and the more you get ahead, the nicer it'll be later on in the course when, you start getting towards the end. You start breaking a sweat thinking, oh my gosh, am I going to be able to finish this course in time? What you don't want to do is look at these and go, the first chapter's super easy. This whole course is going to be super easy. I'll just be lazy. I'll do it all on Sunday. It'll take me like an hour. Man, by the time you get to chapter 3 or 4, 5, you're going to realize your mistake real quick. You can't just do all of chapter 4 on a Sunday. I mean, maybe you can, but I don't know why you would want to do that to yourself. Why would you ever want to sit down and do math for like 12 hours straight to get through one chapter? Because again, at that point, you're not learning the language. You're just cramming it in there to get a grade. And that doesn't work out so well. It may get you through this course, but later on in higher level courses, you're going to notice gaps in the learning. So you don't want to do that. Best thing you can do is work on 2 or 3 sections every day. That's probably the best thing that you can do. If you work on 2 or 3 sections every day, it's kind of like exercising for 20 minutes every day. That's way better than waiting till the weekend and saying, oh, I'm going to do 8 hours of exercise straight on Sunday. You're going to destroy yourself, right? You're going to hate your life if you do that. So don't do that. A little bit each day. Make sure you're sticking with the due dates. The videos are in the multimedia library. Watch the videos, take notes, attack that homework. When you're done attacking all that homework leading up to exam 1, then you take exam 1 and just keep redoing that. Watch all the videos for chapter 4, do all the homework for chapter 4, take exam 2, right? You just keep repeating that process for the next 6 weeks. And hopefully if you're honest with yourself, you're dedicated, you're motivated, and you stick to a good schedule as far as studying and doing the homework, you should be all right and you should be successful in the course. If you have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, I'll stop here. I don't want to make the video too long and boring. And again, like I said, the only other thing is when exam 5 and the final exam start to approach near, that's when I'll start sending out some announcements and some emails about how HonorLock's going to work in a little more detail. But for now, we'll table that because the first 4 exams don't even need it. So we'll save that for much later. So yeah, thank you for signing up for the course. I hope you're successful. If you have any questions, please let me know. Shoot me an email. And other than that, enjoy your summer and have fun with the course. Thank you very much.